Perry.
Oh, at the Greenview? It was
Yeah.
great.
Good.
We had like 75 people.
Real.
It was like huge. Yeah, it was great.
And you didn't.
I sold like 20 cases of wine.
Oh, darn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was awful.
Yeah.
Can't believe I'm up here with you guys.
Why not?
We'll just speak about. Really important.
Hello and welcome everyone. Whoa, sound is good. I was trying to get close to it. Anyway, welcome everyone. It is now 7:02 and we will call this meeting to order. If we could all please stand for the flag salute. Thomas, would you mind leading us? Yes. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, welcome everyone. I'm Monica Rosenthal and I'm the chair of the math meeting. And to my left, and I have a board member to my right here also, Lisa Kaplan. And then board members here to my left, Bill Waite, Nanette, and Ken, our secretary. And then joining us this evening here, who will speak in just a few moments, is our District 1 Supervisor-elect, Helen Owen. Thank you for joining us tonight. So if we could move to reading the mission statement. Let me ask first, does anybody have a moment of silence that they would like us to honor? Anyone in particular? Okay. Then we will move on with the mission statement. Thank you, Ken.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Math mission statement. The Middletown Area Town Hall was formed to operate as a true town hall with everyone participating and voting. However, county officials required us to elect a board to conform with other county advisory committees. Our bylaws specify that the board makes decisions based on a vote of everyone present. The board encourages all members to give their opinions and vote on every matter before assembly.
Thank you, Ken. So we'll move to item number 2 on the agenda, which is approval of the agenda. Welcome a motion or comments.
I have a motion or a comment. I was not present at the last meeting, but it's indicating that I was, so.
Okay, well, but we're approving just the agenda
Okay.
right now. We're not on the minutes yet. Sorry.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ken. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Seeing none, we shall move on with the agenda. So our 7:03 item is to hear from our District 1 Supervisor-elect. I've asked Helen to come and join us this evening, as she will be, of course, taking her seat with the Board of Supervisors January 7th. Is that correct?
I think we're sworn in maybe the 6th. They said 6th, 7th, so right in that zone. I think that's my first day is the 7th.
Okay, we're going to need the mic in front of you. So anyway, so as we move forward with the math group here, basically I was hoping that Helen could, of course, Helen has attended some of the meetings in the past, and I was hoping that she could share some thoughts and, of course, open it up to questions from all of you of, her vision of math and how she intends to interact with math in the future. Thank you. Helen?
Okay. Well, when Monica asked me that, I said, well, what do you need? I think most of you know I jumped in the race in November, so I'm now supervisor-elect. Will take the reins in January. As I think many of you know, I've been attending meetings throughout our district and beyond. So basically, this is new to me. It's a different arena than what I'm used to. I'm used to the horse arena, so I'm learning the ropes as well. I've always been a huge community advocate, so I want to kind of build on that and try to improve our county. That's my goal. And so knowing what you need from me is going to be important. The best way to reach me is by the phone call. If you don't catch me on the phone, leave me a text message. I'm still not quite as good at the voice messages, getting to those, but the text messages reach me pretty good. I know I've visited with Mr. Todd, so I know that there's going to be in the future some water needs that we need to look at, and that includes south of Middletown, hooking people up down that way. And so I'm here to help you guys. I'm your supervisor, so you guys need to tell me what you need. And that's kind of where I need to go. I ran on representing you, the people, and that's what I intend to do. I know that just Lower Lake area had felt kind of left out, and I promised them that's not going to happen. So roads, drove down many of the roads throughout the county. I know that we're in desperate repair in many, many areas. I know that our wish list is going to be bigger than our pocketbook. So being patient and learning the ropes, and I can sure use you guys behind me telling me what you need and help me through that process. So don't be afraid to reach out. I actually want you to. Okay? As far as the math group goes, again, I do plan on attending meetings whenever I can, which I'm hoping will be most of the time. I know the last one I didn't make because I did have a conflict, but for the most part, I was pretty good at attending the math meetings over the last year. So I'm sure I'll be at many of them. Is there any other?
Yeah, well, I kind of wanted to open it up to discussion about math. And maybe what I should do is to, in helping this discussion along, is to, again, review what and let me say that this is rather timely for, or at least I think it's timely, as of course we're going through a change in our supervisor, but also October, November, December are the months that we are holding nominations here for the math board, and of course encouraging others to participate in the math meeting itself, but also as board members. So I thought it might be a good time to reflect on, kind of the purpose of math and the direction that we're going. So for instance, in our article in our bylaws, number one, math is a municipal advisory council. So it was the first one formed in Lake County, December 12th of 2006. So as a municipal advisory council, we are, as we call ourselves, a town hall. We are the Middletown, our nickname, so to speak, is Middletown Area Town Hall. But we are a municipal advisory council, which means that we also are under the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors, and we are in compliance with the Brown Act. So, but the math's purpose, when it was first formed in 2006, was to increase the participation of the Middletown area residents in decision-making processes that affect the community. The math board will serve as an official local community representative to work with the County Board of Supervisors and other entities and agencies to provide grassroots input, direction, and guidance on issues related to the unincorporated areas of the county, defined by our boundaries in our bylaws. So math provides the community access to a variety of projects and information affecting South Lake County area and the communities. Of course, as you know, we meet the second Thursday of every month. The simple definition of the Municipal Advisory Council is an organization composed of elected and/or appointed members whose purpose is to advise a city or county government about the activities and problems of the area it represents. Some M.A.Cs are funded by county government and supported by county staff. This M.A.C is not. We do not deal with funds or money in any way. So nor do we have county staff. We've been very fortunate to have Ken as our secretary for quite some time. So thank you, Ken. As a municipal advisory council, according to Wikipedia, the councils serve the unincorporated communities, and it links to the County Board of Supervisors. Such a council is an advisory body of local citizens elected by the community and appointed by the Board of Supervisors with the purpose of representing the community to the board. So councils in general often face two ways: toward the county, offering views of the community, or toward the community, supplying information about county proposals and a place where individuals can air opinions on community problems and perhaps receive help. We have, in my opinion, and my board may have other ideas, but in my opinion, the last year we have worked more toward the community. So we've been informative, having speakers come and keeping us in touch and informed, such as, with our, more recently with Caltrans coming and giving us an update on their future plans for their roads and activities. So we've been more, working within the community as opposed to taking messages to the county. So, and I'll share with our supervisor-elect that one of the problems is, because the other thing that the county and is within in our description of what M.A.T.H would do is to review issues that include but are not limited to matters of public health, safety, welfare, public works, planning, and land use. If, for those of you who have come to M.A.T.H meetings on a fairly regular basis, I think you might agree with me that we have a difficulty, or there's a disconnect with us as a M.A.T.H organization having a voice on land use or planning topics, because there's a disconnect with the information or the timeline of getting information. The one time, for example, that we did when the Gwinnett project seemed to be moving forward, the MAHA project, we ended up calling, because we know that has a huge impact for this end of the county, we ended up calling a special meeting in order to meet the timeline and the deadlines that were imposed upon us by the county that didn't correspond with our meeting dates and schedule. So, but in many, like we have another project that we're going to hear a little bit about a little bit later this evening. We had another project that came forward that was on the Planning Commission schedule today that, again, has a large, or could have a large impact on Middletown. But we did not receive the information in a timely manner in order to be able to group together as M.A.T.H and review and or identify any concerns or impacts of this project that would affect our area. And that is something that has been listed within the M.A.T.H definition, so to speak, as a job we could do, but we don't do. And again, part of it, in my mind, I see it as because there is a disconnect with this scheduling and a conflict that we're just not able to meet. And so therefore, we've been working more, as I've stated, we've been working more as a community, being informed as a community, having speakers come here and inform us about, such as we had Danny Wind come and talk about smart towns, things that we could do to make the area safer, as well as Caltrans coming. Of course, we have the GI report from PG&E, about the waste ponds out on Butts Canyon. So, but I guess that's what I want to throw out to all of you to be thinking about as we move into 2025 and to our supervisor-elect. What is math going to do moving forward? Do we want to be more involved in projects, and in having a say in some of those projects and planning? And I'll throw out another example. In my mind, we have the area plan that's happening. That is something that could be under the jurisdiction of math, as far as the what was called the M.A.C meetings that just happened about the Middletown area plan. That is something that could have been held right here, but instead the Board of Supervisors had elected to create M.A.C committees of community members, some who are part of math, such as Bill, and many who are not, who don't attend math on a regular basis, but yet that's the group that then is making planning decisions on behalf of South Lake County versus this group right here. So, and it doesn't, again, a M.A.C can do a variety of different things, but I guess I wanted to throw that out there and share this with our supervisor-elect, to give her thoughts, also in moving forward, what is math's direction in 2025? Where do we want it to go as members of the community? And, what does our supervisor, how would the supervisor like to work with us in the future?
And how we can probably communicate better on a closer level to keep everybody abreast on both sides.
I agree.
So with that, I will open it up for public comment, or would you like to say
Or
anything?
question?
Yes.
Helen?
Yes.
Yeah, you said the best way to communicate with you is through your phone number. Would you be?
Yes, and we'll be getting
What-
a new phone pretty soon and a
Oh.
new email. I won't get the new phone till after I get certified,
I
sworn
see.
in.
Okay.
But right now, I'm just using my personal line. which
Okay,
is-
well, wait
yeah.
for your new phone then. All right.
Yeah, can you get that to the council so we
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
can pass it on?
Right.
I'll
And
also be-
Also, Helen, you mentioned that you'd like to make South County a better place, and maybe this might be a place to ask for things that I think we need here in South
Mhm.
County. And it's a small item, but I think Parks and Rec or someone could fix our tennis court.
Okay.
That's one thing that is.
And that's within the county, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's the county's.
unusable right now. There's a big.
Okay, I
traffic
didn't know
center.
that.
And also the lighting there, what is his name? Keith said that it had been approved for LED lighting at night, but it's broken.
Okay.
To replace the current light bulbs to put into LED light bulbs.
So what I'll do is when I get my new email, if you can document that.
Okay.
And one of the things we'll need to do, I'd like to see with math, is to have things kind of prioritized. What, the issues are and kind of a priority.
Well, the
as we
priority
do
is
it-
for tennis players. not-
Yeah, no, I know. But that's also,
How many
that
tennis players
shouldn't,
in the room?
that shouldn't be a, that shouldn't be a really big ask either, that's not, so, yeah, that's perfect.
If I may. I think communication is the biggest part of the whole thing, and I think it's a two-way street. I think we need to know from you what you want from us to give you advice, as well as us knowing what's coming up that we need to deal with. And obviously, since we only meet once a month, it's timing is everything, as
Sure.
Monica was saying. And so we always end up seeming to come in at the last
Yeah.
minute or too late, or
In arrears.
having to hold all this emergency stuff, and everybody here it has busy schedules as well. So
Mhm.
that communication, I think, is a very big thing. And I think the area plan, I know as far as I'm concerned, the area plan has a lot to do with what's going on here in South County.
Mhm.
And I think it's going to play a major role in the development of Lake County throughout the future. So it's nice to be able to have that communication as a two-way street.
Now, you guys are you on the mailing list, the email list for the planning department and the board of supervisors for their agendas? Do you guys, because you can all get that, get that sent to you when requested, yeah, okay. I know that once it gets to that,
I think math is too, isn't it? Is it math on the mailing list as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we're on a mailing list. We get quite a bit of information from the county.
Okay, so one of the problems with that supervisor-elect is that, of course, for the planning commission meetings and for the board of supervisors meetings, as
Yeah,
you will.
the time.
As you will see, yeah, 72 hours notice.
Yep.
So 72 hours. And that is the legal minimum that the county has to do. So I guess that's one of the questions that I would have is, how can we work at making this more citizen-friendly as opposed to just legality?
Brown Act.
Yes. So that would be my question. I know I'm going to throw out that because I was planning commissioner back in 2008 when we had a while ago. There was a few different people, as department heads, but when I served as planning commissioner, what we had is we received all the reports at least 10 days out, so that we could do site visits, so that we had ample time to review the projects ahead of time. And while that 72-hour minimum was still there as a legal requirement, but yet we received reports 10 days out. And then it was published in the paper. We don't have a Middletown Times Star anymore, sadly, but information was published in the paper that we could take a look at as well. Yeah, that's where 72 hours is. We barely get a chance to look at the email,
Right.
let alone pull out all the documents that need to be read.
And gather together to discuss.
So, this inward-facing towards the community or towards the board question, over the years, I think that the time when this room was the most full is when we were battling the Dollar General. And so that is an example of how we bring things to the county, or our decision, we congregated and gave numbers, like 98% or whatever voted against it, and we took that to the Board of Supervisors. And it's like, that is an important role that we play. And, in my work, when I have to work with the city of Clear Lake or the city of Lakeport or something like that, they have this entity, and this is our only entity locally. And so we have to actually we have to wear a lot of different hats actually here, with the most important thing being people showing up. How do we get people to show up without it being an emergent situation like the Dollar General, for example, where there was so many people who really wanted to stop this thing? But I think that every day decisions are made about what our area and what our futures will look like. And I would love to see this forum more active, more attended, and more just everybody participating and sharing their voice. And then taking it to you, of course, so you can...
Tanya, if you could come up to the mic here, I'm sorry. But we have Thomas from PEG TV here recording our meetings, and we really appreciate that because math meetings are available. We're live streaming, is that correct? So people can be sitting at home watching, so we have more participation that way. And also, we get posted on YouTube later, so you can watch us later with popcorn.
Streaming live to YouTube now. As soon as the meeting is over, you can pull it up and watch.
Yeah, so if you want to watch it all over again.
You gotta turn your mic on for me, I'm sorry. It's right on the very top button. Let's see if I can run it right now.
Sorry,
that?
Tanya.
Yeah.
So My name is Tanya Streetek, and I was under the impression that math was going to have clout with the county. And I guess that's what I am going to say right now, because we don't have a voice, and I think it's really important that, and what I understood, that this was about this area being able to say, we want this, and the supervisors to listen to us. But if we're getting the information too late to even have to say, that's not, in my opinion, what this whole thing was formed for.
You're right. And that in going back to 2006, when M.A.C was first formed, it was so that it was because, and again, we were the first municipal advisory council in the county, and partly it was because we are located all the way down here in the south end of county. There's so many people that think the south end of the county stops at Lower Lake. You know, at the bottom end of the lake there, and we're down here, and it's difficult for a lot of us, especially if those of us who have jobs during the day, to drive to Lakeport and to attend the meetings. So hence that's why this group was formed, so that we could have a voice within, or a voice working with county government down here on the south end of the county, and have that voice reach the county in Lakeport, the county, the Board of Supervisors chambers. So, and it's been a while since that's happened. And I'm hoping that will change. Any other comments? Yes. And it was,
Charles Morris. I usually try to stick with veterans issues, but I got to say, these last 2 months, math, you guys have fallen on your face. Last month, no, or actually the last 3 months, we haven't got any of the emails. We didn't know what was going on. Last month, I brought up the issue, and I really thought the whole situation was weak at best. This month, you know, I had a friend of mine call, and there was 4 of us who stood there, and we fought for the Lake County sign and the marijuana grow right there on the spot. And we won by the skin of our teeth. We had 4 people, not one of them, well, one of them from math, but even she didn't get the information. She had to get it from an outside source. You are supposed to be our eyes and ears. I will come in, I will fight for you, and I'll support you. Okay, I always have. I've never ran for election. I run like hell when you guys, you know, nominate people. But I am a good follower of you guys, and I believe in you.
thank you.
Okay, if this person would have won, that person had assaulted the leader of the math, because the leader of math was doing their job. They didn't like it. They were looking for other answers, and they darn near sneaked in a marijuana grow right on our doorstep in our area. We are very lucky. By the grace of God, we got past this one. And Helen, I know this was one of your big issues. You got to make sure that these guys do their jobs too. You don't have any power over them, but I'm pretty sure that if the county supervisor says, hey, did you know this is happening, they're going to do it.
Is that the one that they voted on today, voted down
Yes,
today?
yes.
Okay, and I found out about that one, in all honesty, 2 days ago. I did address the issue. I did go in and talk with Maria, and because I was up there for the Kelseyville vote, you know, for the Board of Supervisors. And so I had another meeting today, but it sounded like it was unanimous that it fell.
Yeah, it fell because we pushed it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think I would have been able to do what I did if it wasn't for a guy named Dwight Holford, who fought with us way back in 1995, and with Helen Whitney, who used to sit in your job, to get Solano County. And I banged on the table and I said, if you don't stop this, I'll call Solano County and have them stop it. That's what got their ears up. and
Actually,
got
I
me
heard
thinking.
that story. I just didn't know it was you.
Yeah, I second that, so I'm Beth.
She was
Beth.
she-
Hi, Beth.
Beth did the most homework, and she's responsible for getting our butts over there.
Yeah, actually,
So-
it was Beth that, it was through Beth that I was able to get contacted. Hi, Beth. I've talked to her on the phone. I just didn't meet her in person till now.
Okay. So you guys, I'm telling you right now, this is your ass chewing. I'm Master Sergeant Charles Morse. Spent 31 years in the Army. Get your shit together. You are our soldiers. You represent us. You're our leaders. Every one of you, okay? That's all I got.
So this is what
Thank you.
Monica's been talking about, is that we don't get the notices, Charles. It's not that we don't send them, it's that we don't even get them on time. So, I mean, luckily Monica wrote a letter, you know,
That's
as
me.
a citizen. But we don't get, that's exactly the problem, is we haven't been getting any of the information in a timely manner to be able to share it. Right?
Right.
Yeah, I sicked them on you, Monica, the ladies.
Yes, I know you did.
I mean, it would be nice if some of these things that concern Middletown were timed so that the Middletown area town hall could have a meeting and discuss these things, and then bring what we've got to them through you or whatever. But like, you know, maybe there can be a little bit of equity here in terms of taking Middletown area town hall's schedule into consideration, so that we
Or
can have
maybe
it-
Middletown Town Hall might have to meet more frequently, if that be the case,
Maybe.
you know?
that would be very
Because,
problematic.
well, it's also problematic, I would surmise, at the county to do everything around Middletown Town Hall, I'm thinking. So I'm not in yet, so I'm still getting my footing, as I might say. But I'm thinking that perhaps if you want a little bit of a heads up, and I'll do what I can, I just don't know what's going to be available to me yet or when. And so throwing this out me right now, there's somebody else that is actually the supervisor for District 1, and I don't see them here. So I'll do what I can, but then again, you might have to meet more frequently. Yes.
So in our YouTube chat, could we get Lisa to kind of scoot over? The audience would like to see you.
Hi, Lisa. Okay, any other public comment, questions? Yes, Julia?
First of all, Helen, I'd like to say welcome to the office and look forward to you doing great things for our county and our area here. It's a delight to see a supervisor, even though not yet in office, actually attending this meeting. The other one just didn't seem to care. And that's been a major, I think, a downfall for the effectiveness of this organization. We had no one to talk to. Yes, we had lots of people coming and talking to us, but I think that's been the problem with M.A.C, and partly why we haven't seen more participation, is that there wasn't anyone to talk to and say, listen, we have this problem. I mean, like, for example, Ken being able to bring up that there's a problem at the tennis courts. Well, great, that's wonderful, but who ordinarily would have been here to hear that? So I think this is an exciting development. Look forward to seeing you more frequently. And I hope that M.A.C will adjust its status going forward, and its focus going forward from, the government to the community toward more community to the government. So I look forward to getting your ear in future. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Questions?
I guess I have one brief one. I'm fairly new. This is my first time.
Thank you for coming, Beth, and nice to meet you in person.
Same. I'm the problem. I've lived here for, my name is Beth Kershaw. I live in Middletown. I've been here for 23 years. This is my first time coming to a M.A.C. Charlie has been bugging me for 10 years to come. And until there was an issue that I had, I came. And I was amazed by one phone call that I made. There was about 20 of them made through a network of people who know people who know people, and I had never met most of them. And so I really appreciate this group here. You guys really banded together, even if it was at the last minute. Miracles do happen, and that's what makes small towns wonderful. I'm just so embarrassed that I hadn't participated before then. I vote. I always vote. I kind of know what's on the ballot, but because I didn't have children in the system, I live in the country, so I don't have any neighbors really close. So I apologize for having it be on all your guys' shoulders all these years, but I'm going to do my best to try and make them. So thank you for your help. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're here now. So thanks
Leave
for
your
coming.
email address with us.
One of the things I would like to mention on that is a lot of people, when you're raising your kids and you're working, you've got your hands full. And for me, I know raising your kids is the most important thing you do in your life, as far as I am concerned. So dedicating that time, and especially if they're doing sports, you don't have time to watch over, quite often, you don't have time to watch over making sure that our elected officials are doing their job or what they're doing. And you need somebody you can trust. And that was how I felt about it. And that was one of the things that drove me to run, was I'm going to be as accessible as I can. I'll keep a Facebook page where people can send me a message for the supervisor. I'll be at meetings, all the meetings I can make. But I know that not everybody can step out and go to these meetings. And that's why you've elected somebody to do it for you, to have your best interest in mind.
I'm sorry. I need to say something. M.A.C. has been in office for 8 years, and he actually did show up here a lot over the years. He didn't show up in the past few months a little bit, but he was here a lot. I've been here for all that time too, and he used to sit right there, So, I mean, let's not, yeah.
Yeah, he came more times than he didn't, that's for sure. And way more than the last guy.
And I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is, like, how do we as a community get involved? How do we get more Beths to show up so that our voice is stronger, so that when we ask Helen, whether she's here or we email or call her, she's hearing from something that we've discussed and that we've brought to the table and that we want brought to another table as well. So it's on us, guys. It's really our responsibility to show up.
I would agree and somewhat disagree, because I think it's a two-way street. I think that it also, with our county government, the county government can legitimize the municipal advisory councils, not only this one, but throughout all of Lake County, by showing up also, or by participating with the councils, by doing things, in my mind, again, like, I'm not sure exactly why we needed to form LAPAC groups instead of working with the math groups, rather than, there could have been a decision made to empower the MACs, rather than create a whole new set of committees to do a project that is within the realm of math. So I think it's a two-way street here. But it does begin, with what we as a community want to do, where we want our voice to be heard. What is it that we want for our community? So one of the things I'm going to bring up, also while Helen is here, and then we'll move on to the next topic. But one of the very early projects of math was getting streetlights in our downtown area. And as many of you know, we have Middletown, the Christmas in Middletown happening Saturday. So come out for that. But also with one, and I'm not sure if anybody else has noticed this, but in our downtown area, in the evenings, now that it gets dark earlier, we have a lot of our street lights are out. They're burnt out. So I had checked with Izzy, who came here from Caltrans and was talking to us about changing the downtown area, and has asked us some questions about what kind of lighting we want downtown. And so anyway, Izzy told me, who to contact in order to get our lights fixed. When I called, it's special districts in Lake County. So I called the special districts department, and I told them about our situation with the lights, and their response to me was, "What are the pole numbers?" So I did, as far as I could, went out and walked the street at night and checked out all the poles and got all the pole numbers. So our poll numbers are, we have 58, 57, 56, 55, 53, all on Big Canyon that are all out. We have 60, 85, 84, 80, 76, 62, and we have one light out here in the senior center parking lot that doesn't have a number. So anyway, so we will get our light bulbs fixed at some point.
What's the time, what's the time frame?
But
What's the time?
yeah, that's the question. What is the time frame? But I thought it was interesting nonetheless, and that was my question. You mean seriously? It's like I can't just call and have somebody, an employee, somebody who's making a salary, who gets paid, to come and figure out our lighting situation, as opposed to us, which we are volunteers here, by the way. So, and that is one of the benefits of the municipal advisory councils, is that it is a community-driven effort for free, working on behalf of our county and our county government to improve all of Lake County. So again, I say there's a give and take here. So we need support, as well as we need to figure out what we want to do and what kind of support it is that we need from our local government. So with that, I'll close that because I've talked enough. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wasn't that an issue?
Yeah, I can talk to that. Oh, is this public comment time?
Not really, but but you can speak to it. We're on lights.
Hello. So Christmas lights. A lot of the polls, I believe. Oh, hi. I am Terry Barra, and I am planning Christmas in Middletown. So the poles are all supposed to have electrical available in them. Even the newer ones over here in front of like the community center, they don't have any electrical to them. So we're actually going to be running an extension cord, and I'm going to be like pinning it down and making sure hopefully it's not a tripping hazard. But that actually is one of the issues why we can't light. You know, we've been running lights along the street to decorate through town. Every single year we have to talk to businesses and say like, hey, can we use your electricity? And then they're like, we have to pay for it. And it's a whole thing. And like running cords from buildings inside doors, you know, trying to get it out to the light posts to be able to put some level of decoration out. And it was such a hassle this year that we just didn't, like, people weren't approving it, and we can't steal their electricity. So there aren't lights down the streets this year. So. I know. We need electricity, guys. We need electricity in all the light posts. Electrical outlets. Would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Helen, do you have any closing comments?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh,
Perfect.
one, that'd be special districts, wouldn't it, for the electricity on the light post? I would think that would be, since they're changing the lights.
Well, no, it's special districts will call PG&E. So, so it's PG&E. So, yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to the approval of the meeting minutes. And this is your turn, your time,
Okay.
Nanette.
Okay. Unfortunately, I was in Republica Dominica, so I wasn't at the meeting. So scratch my name off there.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the only opposition.
Okay, so I would accept a motion to approve or comment on the meeting minutes from, do we have, let's see, the agenda says October and November, but we just have November, right?
Correct. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. No, it's my mistake on the agenda.
You approved the October ones last meeting.
Right.
So I'll move to approve as modified.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor? Sure. Sure, I like that. Any opposed? All right, so moved. Correspondence. So we'll start first with Ken, with our secretary, who,
I'm going to defer to Nanette.
Okay.
Okay.
For correspondence.
Okay, so I was one of the people in the phone chain yesterday at late afternoon.
okay, wait, but let's do, because we're going to go to A first. You're on the planning projects,
Okay.
I believe, what you would like to talk about.
Kind of both, but yeah.
Yeah. So first off, the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force. Did you have any comments on that,
No.
Nanette, or?
No.
No? Okay. Okay. Tom?
Good evening. My name is Tom Lasik. I'm a resident actually in District 4, and I spent, and I'm a private citizen. I spent about an hour and a half coming down here because I think there's some stuff I want to communicate to the lower part of the county that I think impacts you, and I hope to make you aware of them. I attend as a private citizen. I sit in the back and listen to the meetings at the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force. This is a task force that the board created about 2022 to look at the ordinances related to cannabis to see what things can be improved or changed or what have you. This phase that they're in now is to come up with recommendations, but there's several other phases to the process before it eventually gets to the board for approval, which I think is going to be around July of next year. The thing that prompted me to come down here was something called, in the ordinance, called farm protection zones. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but a farm protection zone was something that the board came up with around 2020, I believe, to take a look at lands, special types of farmlands, farmlands of prime farmland, unique farmland, farmland of local importance, and farmland of statewide importance. And they created these protection zones in other parts of the county, and it was kind of mentioned earlier about people think everything ends when you pass Lower Lake or when you get to Lower Lake, and these kind of looks like that. So there's a farm protection zone where if you have farmland in one of those four categories, there's a sort of a ring around that area. There's one over in Upper Lake. There's another smaller ring in Scotts Valley area. There's a very large one in the Big Valley area. And I was there yesterday talking to them about that. And then there's another one sort of between Kelseyville and Lower Lake. But that's it. But we know we're in Ag County and there's much more farmland than just in those areas. So about a month ago, a couple members of the Farm Bureau and the Ag Commissioner, Will Weiss and Jessica Harper from the Farm Bureau, and Kathleen Vanderwald, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, so those three worked, they're on the task force, and they were able to successfully make a recommendation to change the ordinance so that if you have farmland of any of that type, then you enjoy the same protections as those that are inside those rings. And the protections that are in the ordinance right now is that if you want to grow cannabis inside those protection zones, it has to be indoors, it can't be outdoors. And if you're within 1,000 feet of one of those protected zones, it also has to be in a greenhouse and not outdoors. And that passed. So the hope is that this area would also enjoy, the farmlands in this area would enjoy the same protections as the ones in Big Valley and Scotts Valley, etc. That's the good news. The other concerning thing is that the members of the task force that are, shall I say, more closely aligned with the cannabis industry decided to weaken those protections by allowing outdoor growing inside those farm protection zones. So, and also if you're in 1,000 feet, you can also grow it outdoors. So the P and FPZ has been severely weakened. So I wanted to make you aware of that. It's going through the process now. It probably won't come to a vote until July. The next step is they're supposed to finalize their work within the next month or so and then present it to the Planning Commission. And then there's some other work that has to be done. The Ag Commission and other people are going to weigh in. And then eventually it will come up to the board for approval. But I wanted you all to be aware that this is going on. So if you have concerns, either way, talk to your representatives, talk to the Farm Bureau, talk to the Ag Commission, and let them know what your concerns are. I thought it was enlightening to have those protections, equal protection for everybody. So why would unique farmland in Middletown not receive the same protection as farmland in Scotts Valley, for example? So it's a fair argument, and I think it's the right decision, but I'm not the one that makes those calls. I'm just here to pass the word on, and I hope that you get more involved and that your voice be heard. They have meetings. I think the next meeting is actually next week on the Monday at the courthouse from 1 to 4, and then they have another one December 30th, also from 1 to 4. And they'll have a meeting, I think, every other week. I don't know what the calendar is, but you can always inquire. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
I do. Why? So there's an ordinance that's supposed to be a countywide ordinance. I'm just trying to understand that isn't going to apply to us here.
So there's already an ordinance that exists. It was approved around 2020 that define these particular zones. So this is a land use thing. These particular zones around the county. I have a small map here. It's hard to see, but it's in the public record, and it shows these sort of lavender areas that that the Board of Supervisors approved back then, that any cannabis that wants to grow within these zones has to be indoors. There's a third provision that if you're a certain distance, and I can't remember what the distance is, you need vegetative screening as well, but I don't know if that answers your question.
I mean, were you just saying that this applies to us as well, or were you
Not
saying that
yet.
it doesn't apply to us?
Currently, it does not apply to you, and then the vote from the Farm Bureau, or the vote from the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force with the support of the Farm Bureau, was to expand those protections so that it would.
So going back, the previous or the ordinance that is currently in effect for cannabis has a smaller footprint for protection for farmland, and so as they are revising the ordinance, they wanted to expand that protection because, again, that farmland protection is only in certain spots, as you were saying, and a lot of that's not down here in South Lake County, even though we have ag land here, ag land of importance. But so now the Farm Bureau made a motion, or the Rebecca Harper, who is on the Farm Bureau, who's the director of the Farm Bureau, had made a motion at the Cannabis Task Force meeting to expand for greater protection for farmlands of importance and significance throughout the county, countywide.
Correct.
So, but even that motion that was made and passed is in jeopardy.
Yes, so it's sort of a good news, bad news. You'll be in this farm protection zone. If it passed the way the Cannabis Task Force currently recommends it, it would be kind of weird because you would enjoy the protections just like every other farmland of importance, but then there would actually be no protections. So, so it's kind of and that's why I think your voice is important because I'm not a farmer. I have a lot of agricultural people in my family, but I personally am not. But I sit in these meetings and I see this and I think this is a disconnect. Let's let common sense prevail. If it is the will of the board, or the will of the people that we should protect these types of farmlands, then what should that protection look like? And does it make sense to to expand the protection for all that are in the same boat. Charles?
What are you protecting when you have the protection zones, and what's not going to be protected if you don't? What exactly are you protecting? A vineyard of grapes? What is the advantage of being part of the farm protection zone or not?
So if you're in the farm protection zone, and again, I'm not an ag, but it's specific to cannabis. So if you, for example, are growing walnuts or pears or any other crop, grapes, and you're in this zone, it's already been described by the state or by the county as farmland of special importance, then you enjoy a certain amount of protection from what is perceived as being close to cannabis operations. Usually it's odor, chemical sprays, overspray, those types of things. So if you're going to be so if a cannabis operation wants to have activity inside that zone, currently it has to be in a greenhouse with filtration and with those types of things to, again, protect the neighboring farmland. And if you're 1,000 feet away from a zone, the same thing. You would have to be in a greenhouse, and you would have to be.
And it's protection both ways.
Yeah.
Because they're two totally different crops. You know, whether it's grapes or pears or cannabis, they're different crops. And the nature of cannabis growing on the vine or growing, as a plant versus anyway, it's protection for both entities. So because we use different products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that include livestock?
I don't know what's actually growing on the land. The way the maps come from the state and from the county, it just says that this land has been identified as land of unique importance or prime farmland, or they have other zones too, like farmland of historical importance, and it's pretty extensive, and it looks like literally looks like a big quilt work of different types of farmland. And I know, for example, where I live, it's zoned farmland of local importance, and it used to be a cattle ranch. Mm-hmm. Okay, so.
So as Helen Owen asked, does it include livestock? So there was a project, if some of you may recall, called Rancho Lake, which is a cannabis grow. That is planned. I believe it's still in the works, but just hasn't moved forward at this point in time. But Rancho Lake is located out Grange Road, and it is near, it's on ag land and near a farm, a cattle ranch. And that particular rancher has organic cattle and is concerned with the close proximity of cannabis operation near his, what he's been doing for years there with organic cattle. So again, that's, where problems could occur.
Yeah.
Or the odor mingling with the fruit and changing the taste of the fruit. You've got fruit trees.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not an ag expert, but I'm just here to say that the board did establish these zones. The Cannabis Ordinance Task Force decided to expand the coverage of those zones to cover the entire county. But then at the same time, the Cannabis Task Force also recommended through a vote to weaken those protections. Okay.
So and the way that occurred is in the Cannabis Task Force, there was the overall piece, the general piece for farmland that was voted on, and then they started going through it line by line, A, B, C, D, E, F,
Right.
And by voting no on those A, B, C, that basically they are undoing what that initial vote was. So.
Yeah. And when I say outdoor, they say hoop houses, and hoop houses is considered an outdoor type of grow. It's not really defined as indoor. So I just want to make you aware that that's going on. Sure.
So, and just to give everybody an update on the Cannabis Task Force, again, those of you who have participated in the past, or early on when the Cannabis Task Force started up, like 2.5 years ago, number one, it was meant to be about a 6-month, or they were hoping, I think, 6 months to a year project to rewrite the cannabis ordinance, because, much has changed, just trying to deal with legalization of cannabis, that, they've, found, things that needed to be corrected and or modified, for various different reasons. So anyway, they started work on the ordinance. So it's been a long, tedious process. Here, most recently, until most recently, they were meeting like once or twice a month, and often not meeting because they couldn't get a quorum, what have you. And so, realizing that this has been going on for too long and trying to expedite it, they've accelerated their meeting schedule and are now meeting once a week for 3 hours a meeting, trying to get some things done before the end of the year. And part of it has to do with, you have 2 outgoing supervisors, and that would be Supervisor District 1 Supervisor Moke Simon and Supervisor Green from District 4, who have asked for a report from this group, because it's been quite a while since they've received an update, and so they would like a report before they exit office. And I believe that update may be happening at the Board of Supervisors next Tuesday, perhaps, or it's going to happen sometime before the end of the year. So they don't have very many meetings left. So, but that's just an update, conceptual only. The whole process, as Tom was saying, is one that first this committee needs to finish their work and then present that work. The county planning department would, write up the ordinance and, and put all, do all the lingo to, to the language and stuff and get it all put together for it to be presented in front of the Planning Commission for review. And so then the Planning Commission's a public meeting, and that's when we, as a body, as a body or as individuals, would be able to comment at the Planning Commission. But again, that's something, to Lisa's point, that if we are interested in this group here in getting involved in that, then we probably, want to somehow kind of insert our foot and say, hey, can we get some preliminary, can we at least look at a draft, at some point, so that we have time to digest it, and get some feeling, some concept, some input, around this. Because in a few moments, I'm going to go over some projects and stuff too, and share with you about how many projects, cannabis projects, are slated for the Middletown area.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to add one small thing. My wife and I drove through the rain for almost an hour and a half to get here, and I just want to say it was really worth it, because I think this meeting is awesome. I just really appreciate seeing this type of town hall model, if you will, listening and having the dialogue. It really, I really feel is just such a great thing. Just want to thank you guys for attending and allowing us to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom, what's your last name?
Last name is Lacey.
L-A-J.
Do you as a ag person have a vote on that, as to whether or not you want your land in that zone?
I don't have a vote. I have a say, but I don't have a vote.
You do have a vote?
No, I don't have a
Well,
vote.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Who chooses who goes in the zone?
We'll talk later.
Oh.
Okay, so the next item on our correspondence list is planning projects in Middletown. Nanette, do you mind if I go through this list real quick?
Okay.
And then you can talk about the project that was at the Planning Commission meeting today. Let's see, in Middletown, We have, well, actually, this is Loch Lomond area of Middletown. There is the Bellwood Motel that is currently in a CEQA phase. By the way, I'm reading from, I have this report. This is a Lake County Planning Division in progress project tracking update that they do about once every couple months or so. I need to be more diligent about asking to receive this. For math, to have math receive this report. I've been a little bit lackadaisical about it, but that's because I receive it through a friend of mine who gets it at another MAC. And why this MAC doesn't receive it, I'm not quite sure, but a MAC on the other side of the lake receives it. And so, just having some contacts around the area, they send it to me. And so I haven't, persisted or pursued receiving it directly, but this is definitely a report that math should get on a regular basis and be on the mailing list. Because what it does is it lists all the projects and the status of the projects throughout Lake County. So whether they're incomplete, they're in final review, or they're incomplete, or completed, or in CEQA as the project that I just mentioned. The next project in the Middletown area is on Wardlaw Street over the St. Helena Creek, and that's a bridge repair. So in Middletown, there is a project called Shady Grove, and that says it was incomplete, cannabis cultivation. There is another project in review on Dry Creek in Middletown. That's cannabis. These are all cannabis that I'm reading right now. There is another cannabis project in CEQA that is located in Jerusalem Grade. There is another one in CEQA on Jerusalem Grade. There is another one that is deemed incomplete at this point, and that's Daly Place, Middletown.
Where's that?
I'm not sure. Jerusalem? Okay. So there is one on Siegler Canyon that is in review in Middletown. There is another one at Jerusalem Grade that is in review. There is one that is incomplete on South State Highway 29, Middletown. There is another one that is incomplete at Diamond J. So, and by incomplete, that means, there's still work in progress. There is one in review on Calliope Road.
What, right
in
here?
Middletown. That's what it says. It says 22713. Blossom Technologies. So there is another one in Middletown, final review for the PC. That was the one that was heard today. So that Nanette will speak to in just a moment. There is another one that is in final review and ready for the PC, and that is in Jerusalem Grade Road in Middletown called the Pink House. There is one that's in CEQA on Shady Grove Road in Middletown, Hummel Lane Farms. There's another one that's incomplete. And then we move on to some other projects like the Gwinoc project.
So, excuse me, all of those were cannabis projects?
Yes.
Not all of them?
Yes.
The Pink House?
Yes.
Sounds like a better firm.
Yes.
Okay, let's check it. Calliope, because, that goes right here. Calliope isn't very far. It's like
It's the water district.
blocks.
Right.
So I'm going, what?
Is it a grow or more like a distillery?
What did I say, Calliope? Calliope. Blossom Technologies, cannabis cultivation. It doesn't say anything else as far as, I don't have any details about the size, number of, what's that?
Could that just be the address of the business?
No, usually not.
Location.
Yeah, it's usually the location. So, yeah.
Now their Calliope Road is probably, and I think it's 125.
Okay, there is?
Yeah, I think the Calliope Road,
Street, and that's Calliope Road.
yeah, Calliope Road is out going towards Butts Canyon. And
Oh, right.
through that Z, and you go straight
You're right,
at the end of the Z.
right. Okay, so I think many of us know that the Gwinnett Maha project is currently on hold again with the, following another lawsuit, a court ruling.
Darn.
And let's see, and then we have another project on Anderson Springs Road. Oh, that one's completed. That was just that was a lot merger.
A
A lot merge. Yeah.
Not a grow.
Yeah, not a grow.
Her ears perked up.
So, and that's what I got. I'll turn this over to Nanette. I just thought I'd share the number of projects. So,
Madam Monica, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention and for being so knowledgeable about all this stuff. Will you email them and ask them to put math on their mailing list, please? Or would you like one of us to do that?
yes, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nanette?
Okay, so I was in the phone chain late yesterday afternoon about a planning commission public hearing this morning, starting at 9:30. I drove up there, skipped my Tai Chi class, drove up there with 3 other residents. We were sort of last, so when it got to us, we were the last 4 people in the room. This particular grow, which you kind of mentioned, 23180 Shady Grove Road. So point of reference, the sign that says "Welcome to Lake County," that's where the grow was proposed. Okay, it's being in the planning, Nina Starr. It turns out when she was on Zoom and came in, she doesn't live there. We don't know where she lives, but she does not live there. Basically, we discussed the water issues. That was our main opposition, as well as having a grow right where it says, "Welcome to Lake County," for everybody to see. So we were very fortunate. They denied the application. All 4 commissioners that were present, Brown, Chavez, Hess, and Zoller, all felt that they needed more investigation on the water. There, as I recall, there was no mention on where the water was coming from. Is that correct?
Coming from a well.
Yeah, coming from a well.
Information about whether or not the well communicated with other wells and the creek primarily.
Exactly. And
Excuse me, Thomas, you don't pick that up, do you? That's why we have to use the mic, okay? So,
my previous investigations and what I found out on our property that butts the creek is we're all on what's called seep wells, and that means that the creek seeps into our well. So if the creek is dry, our well is dry. And that property, if it has a well, is going to be a seep well, not a groundwater well. And as of, I think you spoke to that, they've dug down 125 feet in areas right near there, and there's no potable water. It's full of arsenic. So our main concern was, how are you going to have this large grow when you don't have enough water? And I spoke to the fact that the residents that live north of this particular proposed grow usually run out of water every year. So if they're drawing some of that water, then they're going to be purchasing water. anyway, it was denied. So it was a great, we all went out and cheered. However, they have 7 days to oppose or to appeal it. She does have a lawyer. And if the appeal is won, then it goes to the supervisors. So we will have new supervisors in January. It won't get there until, January, February, whatever. So if everybody's in agreement that we don't want this, we need to let Helen know. Any questions? Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I would just like to point out, as someone who's been involved in the cannabis legalization movement since its very early days, that Lake County was one of the primary locations of the preliminary medical marijuana grows in this state. And that having cannabis grow right at the sign, "Welcome to Lake County," would be completely appropriate.
Oh, okay. All four commissioners disagreed.
Make sure that they introduce themselves.
Yeah.
That was
So
Julia
that was
Bono.
Julia Bono.
Hi, it's Tom Lasik again. You brought up an interesting thing about the arsenic. One of the fun facts I've learned about cannabis is that it's defined as what's called a hyperaccumulator, because it is very, very good about tolerating high levels of heavy metals. In fact, hemp is used around Chernobyl to try to decontaminate the soils. So I think one of the questions you might want to look at perhaps is, how is this cannabis even going to pass test if it's using water that's full of arsenic? Okay, and this is a fun fact that we got from the cannabis industry. One of the gentlemen bragged about how it's good for the environment because it takes heavy metals out of the ground. Well, where do those heavy metals actually go? Well, it goes, and so just a fun fact.
Thank you.
So, and along those lines, again, for this body, if we do want to have some say about our community, and to Mr. Morse, your comments here is one of the things with the area plan. I attended a few of those the LAPAC meetings with the area plan, and one of the things that I mentioned, because I know that south of town, most of that area is zoned ag. And of course, we have community that lives down that area. And as Nanette says, she lives there. Beth lives there. Charlie lives there. Mr. Morris here. And they run out of water a lot. And that's something that we need to look at, in taking care of our community. How can we make sure that they do, in fact, have water? But the other thing that I wanted to bring up was that in regard to it being zoned ag, the majority of it is ag. And there is very little ag actually happening there, beyond the casino. There is the what some know as the Beaver Creek. I know it as the Horn Ranch, or whatever, had the vineyard there, and then a little bit south of the tribe there, there was another vineyard. And there's another vineyard south of town, but still, there's very little water. And so again, for most ag, you need water. So while I'm a big proponent of agriculture and not losing ag property, not rezoning ag, but on the other hand, I also look at, there are certain areas that if you can never have ag, like in this particular case where there's a cannabis project that wants to come in, but the reality of the situation is there's not enough water there. There's likely not enough water there to support a cannabis operation, not the size that they wanted. So should we be looking at that area differently and perhaps rezoning some of that land? So for instance, one of the things that I proposed at one of those LAPAC meetings to the community development director is to do a feasibility study. from this area, from this right here south of Middletown down, and so that we can take a better look at that, and how we can get water to our communities, that our community that lives south of town, as well as what else can we do with those properties that might be a better use of that land. So given its restrictions, it's real restrictions. So anyway, just wanted to toss that out there again. I think that this is something that the math group that we as a body can get involved in. So yes. Sorry to have you get.
Yeah, he spoke to this.
I think that Tom brought up some really good points, and one of the
You
points.
have to say your name again. I'm sorry.
Name's Charles Morse. Just call me Charlie, okay? I'm not going to do this Charles Morse thing all the time.
Okay.
Just don't call me Sergeant anymore.
Okay.
No. One of the things Tom put out there is important, and what you just hit. We were the last area that lost we lost all of our redwoods in that area in 1933. We still have an antique machine that tears down trees that was left in place out there where we're at. We have one small grove of redwoods around a little lake that we don't tell anybody about, okay? We know that redwood trees need to be protected. They are an agricultural resource, and they will bring the water. So in that respect, I think that what Tom said, we need to protect whatever trees we have, and maybe we need to think about getting our redwood trees back to where we were. One of the points that I put out there, and that's one of the things that goes back to Helen Whitney and Santa Ana Creek United, is that Solano County was very, they tried to sue me for $2 million. I had to pay a lawyer. But Solano County was very good at telling us what they liked about us and what they didn't like about us. And they gave us residents all kinds of things that we have to do. And unfortunately, we have at least one case where the county is making decisions and giving Solano County water to residents that come in with a lawyer. We're not lawyering up, and we're not doing what we should do as part of our due diligence. And if we don't have the information, then it's gone. All the information I got is from a guy who died 5 years ago who lived across the street from me. And he says, nobody else wants this, please, puts it on my table. And I walked in there and I gave my spiel. What we can do to protect ourselves down here in the South County, we used to have a salmon run that comes all the way up here. There was an anthropologist who wrote a book called Harbin's Hot Springs, and she gives the good, bad, and the ugly to all of our counties. And we are one of the most interesting places on earth if you want to read this book. Okay, she really did a great job. I would love to see us do something closer to what Winters and the Pewter Creek folks are doing on the Solano County side. The salmon are making it right to the dam that used to come into our creek, into our town. If we can find a way not to dam up water, but just slow it down so at least everything from, let's say, right here, all the way back to the Napa County line is full, and we put enough pressure to make sure that Pewter Creek, the Pewter Creek folks, can give us 1 or 2 salmon, let them spawn, and then give them a chance to get the heck down to Lake Berryessa and go through the glory hole. That is a real place, guys. and out into Pewter Creek and make their way all the way down to Sassoon. Right now, the fish are better protected on Travis Air Force Base with millions of gallons of aircraft fuel than they are protected in our little creek. And we have examples of how to do this. There's a little town in Texas I just came back from called Luling, Texas. And they put up a little, I want to say a dam. They put up enough to keep the water in the town, to create a community festival and everything else, and allow the water to keep going so nothing is lost. And of course, the fish can still migrate and everything else. We can do better than Texas. I know we can. We're Californians. We have a bear on our flag. They got a stupid star. Okay, so we can do this. And I think it's going to take a community that wants to do it. And I would love to see a salmon festival right here in Middletown, so that we can, bring back the ancestors, that have done that. I mean, we have such a beautiful place and a beautiful history. We had 3 heavyweight champions in boxing. I mean, how many towns can say that? They had that. I mean, we are a mix of everything. And, on that creek right now, because of the fires in Hillsburg and everything else, we've counted 13 different bears walking up and down between Middletown and the Napa County line. It's the last refuge. We are the last diamond left, I think, in a lot of ways. And we got to protect this little creek. All right. Once it gets to Pewter Creek and goes downstream, that's fine. But let's give these guys a chance. All right. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
Oh, Monica.
Oh, yes.
Good evening, Math. My name is Margot Kambara. I am a private resident, private citizen in District 4. I'm here to participate in your civic engagement, and I'm inspired. I wanted to add to your conversation here. Mr. Morris brings up a good point. We need to protect our natural resources. I am a member of the General Plan Advisory Committee representing District 4. I also, as a private citizen, attend the Cannabis Task Force meetings. One of the subjects in the Cannabis Task Force meeting was protection for trees. And so a group of us citizens was looking at what's available for protection for our trees. We have magnificent oaks in this county. We should be proud of them. Heritage oaks. There are other municipalities that protect their oaks, their trees. We as private citizens took a look at that. Why reinvent the wheel? There are other municipalities that make it work. Of all things, Clear Lake has a tree ordinance. Why can't Lake County? Okay, but I digress. So we as private citizens took a look at the local area plans. And Middletown, I don't know if you know this, but you have the most relaxed, I don't know if you could call it protections, because your local area plans allow 10% of your tree stands to be cleared. I'm sorry, 40%. And so I sent an email to your local area plan advisory committee members and said, you may want to look at this again because the county is looking at the local area plans and the general plan as equal weight. And if you're going to allow 40% of your trees to be cut, that means other districts were in the same boat. So anyway, that's food for thought as the county is working through revising its local area plans, that's yours, and also for the general plan. So we have a lot of work to do if we do want to protect our natural resources. But I also need to add that, for the record, I am not anti-cannabis. I am for sustainable practices. Yes, sustainable practices, sustainable development. I want to see good actors in this county. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, then we'll move on to the general plan and area plan update schedule. And just to let Margot, did you also want to comment on the ag? I know I received a note from you earlier.
Hello again, Math. I wanted to let you know about a meeting that's coming up this Thursday. It's going to be at the Lake County Courthouse, 4 to 6 p.m. This is a topic, agriculture stakeholder meeting. This has been rescheduled. It was rescheduled because of severe weather. So the topic is, what should ag look like in the future? We're talking about in the next 20 years. This is all part of the general plan update. And this meeting is open to land owners, people who work in ag at all levels, citizens who are concerned about the future of ag, citizens who are concerned about the future of Lake County. One of the questions, there are several questions that are going to be discussed. One is climate change and how that affects agriculture here. The other is, what about Farm worker housing. I know in District 4, that was a top priority. It still is in our local area plan. What is the situation now? That's what we need to take a look at. The other questions that we should look at is, what's the role of cannabis in ag? And the other thing is, it's a balancing act. Resources. How much are you going to allow for development, and how much are you going to do to protect what drew us all here in the first place? The beautiful, natural resources of the county. I'd like to share with you the Lake County General Plan Advisory Committee's draft of Statement of Values. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to read the part about agriculture. An agricultural county, Lake County strives to eliminate food insecurity of its residents by emphasizing local food production, promoting the well-being of every Lake County resident. While Lake County celebrates a family farm and small artisanal farms, especially as a means of local food resiliency, the county welcomes a diverse agricultural base. The agriculture economy should benefit all its participants and the community. To this end, Lake County commits to sustainable agriculture and exploring solutions, developing and testing models to provide livable wages for all who work in agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, the 19th. And I have meeting reminder slips for the Cannabis Task Force meetings and for the Ag Stakeholders meeting. So see me after the meeting and I'll give you a slip. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
You're good.
I was actually, this is a question for you. I was going to ask.
You have to go to the mic. Sorry.
Sorry. Hi, Terry Barr again. I was just going to ask, do you know if this is something that you can attend online? Is it Zoom?
I don't see any remote participation.
Okay. No remote participation that we are aware of.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. And so with the exception of this meeting, the ag meeting that will be taking place, the general plan and area plan basically is all of the comments that have been gathered through the various different meetings at this point in time are being worked on by the Community Development Department and then will be moved over to the hands of the consultant that's working with our Community Development Department to put together the general plan and area plan. And as far as I know, it's looking at coming back to us, to the people, in about May or June. To then again go through a series of meetings and public comment before, of course, it goes to the Planning Commission and to the Board of Supervisors and gets a little closer to being finalized. So that would be the process there. But in the meantime, again, if you have any comments about the area plan, I would always encourage you to submit them to the Community Development Department, to the attention of Maria Turner, who is the director. So any other questions on that or comment from the board or the public? Okay, moving on. Math presentation at the Board of Supervisors is scheduled for December 17th at 10:30 a.m. What is that, you might ask? So, yeah, so it changed. It's the first time, I don't know how long I've been chair now, for a couple of years or something, but serving on this board for a bit. And this is the first time the Board of Supervisors has asked us to do, at first it came as a question of asked us to do an annual report. And so, but this is the first annual report I've heard of. So anyway, so we are doing an annual report to the Board of Supervisors. And I would encourage, that is available on Zoom. So you can attend the meeting that way. or attend in person. And if you have any comments, and board members, of course, if anybody would like to join me in this presentation. So that will be on the 17th at 10:30 a.m. Any comments or questions?
Will there be singing and dancing?
Cookies.
No. Oh, and in regard to the content, I don't think there's any cookies or singing and dancing. But in regard to the content, is basically my intention is to give a review of this year of various different things that we have done, throughout our meetings, but also to go over a few of the comments that we were going over earlier in this meeting about how, in finding out how we as math can better interact with with our Board of Supervisors at the Lakeport Chambers there, and vice versa. So that would be my intent.
And with planning, apparently, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, we are now at the point in the meeting that for the Math Board nominations, which have been open October, November, and December. There are 2 seats that are open on the Math Board. That the seats that are currently seated that are occupied by Ken and myself. And no. No, it's just Ken and I. So it goes. Oh, were you threatening to leave?
I was threatening.
Okay. But his seat is not up for nomination, so we'll make him stay in his seat for a little bit. All right. So, Ken, do you have a list of people that have been nominated thus far?
Tara for one, and who else do I have?
You told me Julia?
Julia. Tara and Julia. Currently. No? But I would like to nominate a couple more people.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Charles Morse.
We tried that.
We can do it again.
Keep on going. Pressure.
Actually, Fletcher told me today that his best friend outside the meeting is Lisa, so. I guess if Fletcher can do it, I can do it.
Oh, wow, good, great.
He said yes.
Oh,
So-
you said yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Charlie.
So for people that are not getting that because we're not using the mic, Tanya just nominated Charlie Morse, and Charlie, you've accepted the nomination. Okay.
And I'd like
Yes,
to
yeah.
nominate James Barrera.
Wants to.
Yes.
Yeah, Roy, I nominate Monica Rosenthal.
Thank you, Pat.
Did you accept?
Did you accept?
Yeah, I will accept.
You will?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
What kind of
Hey, add
reaction
that to
was
the
that?
list.
I thought you wanted to leave.
Ken told us you fired.
Yeah, we didn't want to put pressure on you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
For the record, I'm voting for her.
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Monica brings her experience as a former planner and all of the different things that she's involved with in the county to this table and to this group, and also the area plan from before and all kinds of things. And it's like, it's a boon, you know? You are a boon.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes. I second that.
Okay, thank you. Any other nominations?
James right there.
James?
I accept the nomination. I'm James Shabara. Thank you.
But can we have like a husband and wife on the board? Is that what does that say in the bylaws?
I don't think there's a problem with that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if there is. We would have to check on that because we are county. We are, with the Brown Act. So as a town hall, no, there's not a problem. But as a M.A.C, as a municipal advisory council operating under the Brown Act, there very well may be a problem with that.
And Dan Terrell?
So, but having said that, we have Tara and James or whatever that, again, you can both be in the election and, perhaps you both can't win. But one,
That's true. I think we need to look at this. Who's
Yeah.
going to look into it is what I want to know. Who's going to read find out what the
Dan.
legalities are?
I nominated Dan Terrell.
I'm here for the cookies, but I will accept.
You
Okay.
decided you would accept now.
Perfect.
Okay, we got plenty of people.
So, Dan, you just accepted being nominated to this board. Oh, how awesome.
Perfect.
Do you not want me here?
No, I tried to nominate you last time and you refused.
I can change my mind.
Yes, you can, and we're very lucky. Now we have all this new
Excellent.
blood that wants to come on.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, we will close nominations then with this December meeting. So the election will be in January, at the January meeting. Typically, the way that we hold the elections is to have a little tally sheet with everybody's name on it. So, and whoever is in attendance at that meeting, and generally it should be people that, who have attended math at least, 2 or 3 times. But nonetheless, whoever is in the room votes on the little tally sheets that we have. And then we would normally have the secretary work along with another member of the board to count the votes and then announce at the end of the meeting, who is seated. The way our bylaws are written, that if you are not elected to serve on the board, then you become an alternate. So if you choose to accept the position as an alternate. So we have, again, 2 seats available on the board, and then we have 2 alternate seats.
It's not a good idea. Okay, Pat got the Google and AI to give us an overview here. I'm just going to read it. Under the California Brown Act, while there is no explicit prohibition against spouses serving on the same board, if a spouse is used as a conduit to communicate with other board members regarding official business, it can be considered a violation of the serial communication rule, essentially acting as a proxy to circumvent the open meeting requirements of the Brown Act, meaning a spouse could not be used to indirectly influence other board members on a decision without proper public disclosure. I'm just going to say it's a little complicated, and you both are wonderful people.
Monica, can you review all the nominees, please?
In saying that, with that, that's normally when just the board votes. And here, everybody can vote. So I don't know that it would really hold true.
But we're not allowed to respond to an email, for example.
But under Brown Act.
Go for it. Loudspeaker. You need this.
Well,
Sorry, Pat Roy. Under the Brown Act, 2 members of the board can talk about a subject, but not to a third. So a husband and wife could chat with each other, but they couldn't talk to somebody else. If they had chatted to each other, then neither one could talk to anybody else on the board outside of a meeting.
Honestly, let's just say hypothetically that Monica stays. Who's going to leave? Why do you want to go, Ken?
It's a lot of work and effort on my part.
hey, stop that.
Well,
we need somebody to pick it up.
I'm going to nominate Ken,
It interferes with the bocce league.
He wants to go on more vacations. That's.
I will be going. Thank you, Charlie.
I'm sorry, Ken.
That's okay. That's okay.
So yeah, is it only one position open then? Because you're no, yeah.
She has to be voted in.
I have to be voted in.
2 are for election.
So.
Billy, you could even retire. There's enough time.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, you could. Like last time, it didn't seem like we had enough to fill the seats, but this time we do.
Right?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the percentage of Middletown?
Okay, wait. Come to the mic.
The percentage of Middletown proper seats versus Hidden Valley seats, I think we are only supposed to have one Hidden Valley
It's not
representative.
Hidden Valley, it's outside of Middletown proper.
I think
Anywhere.
there's a number of different sections.
Yeah, but it's just outside. I mean, there's Hidden Valley, there's Anderson Springs. It would be nice to have representation from there, for example. You
Right,
know,
it seems like there's
Jerusalem
a
Valley, all of
lot
it.
of Hidden Valley already on the board. And
No,
bring
only
more
me
Hidden Valley.
and Bill right now.
Okay, well, that's two. And
Right.
I think there's only supposed to be one, but
We changed the bylaws basically to read, I believe it's that there has to be, or the goal is to have at least two Middletown proper people who reside more in Middletown proper, and then everything else is at large. Because we had such a hard time in the past trying to get one person from Grange Road area and one person from, so they at some point, the bylaws were rewritten and we eliminated that. So the only mandate, so to speak, is to have, I think, at minimum 2 Middletown proper people, and then everybody else is considered at large.
So who's Middletown proper on the board right now?
I can't answer that. I think it's Ken.
And you.
And
Well, you are.
I'm.
yeah, you're out of Middletown. You're
south.
You're in the south area.
But you're in Middletown.
I
Right.
thought we got rid of at large completely.
Exactly, we did.
So
I mean, everybody's at large
so-
except from the Middletown.
So only the Middletown proper seats are up for re-election. So
I guess so.
Anyone from outside of Middletown is not, is not a candidate for those seats. Is that correct?
I don't think so. The way
I have
but
the bylaws here. I'm looking. Just keep talking.
I think Julia's right on this one.
It says 3 at-large seats to Middletown proper.
How far how is Middletown defined?
Like Nanette isn't part
From
of
Grange
Middletown?
Road, Grange
I
Road
think
to
3 miles out.
Rancheria Road.
I think she's south.
It's
think
Grange
she's
Road to
south.
Rancheria Road, I think is Middletown.
How far up?
Well, it
I
only
have
goes
it
up
right here.
to Anderson Springs.
I can't understand it, but I have it right here. Middletown proper, south of Grange Road and north of Rancheria Road, east to Loconomi Road, and west to Anderson Springs Road.
That's the at-large areas.
No, that's Middletown proper.
So Anderson Springs is considered Middletown.
No, East Anderson Springs Road. So to that point and not beyond.
I live south of Anderson Springs Road within Anderson Springs.
So I guess,
What's it mean?
there's
Or not
a,
south, I mean east.
east. Oh, then east should be fine.
South of
Okay.
Grange,
East should be fine.
We are
north
going.
of Rancheria.
This is going to be a board problem to figure out. What 2 board members want to tackle this?
I mean, it's written right here.
Oh, I can't read that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's right here. It's what I just read.
But you're right. Thanks, Julia, for bringing that up. So we will address that. And perhaps we can send out an email. Now, Charlie, you also mentioned that you did not receive a notice.
Last
Okay.
2 months, I haven't gotten anything. And
Okay.
I think Ken should be punished by staying in that position. So I nominate Ken to stay with me. I'm really upset with him, and I really want to see that be a better.
Well, I would like to thank Ken for the job that he has done. For how many years now have you been on the board, Ken?
Cumulative.
More than, how many years?
Yes.
I'm sorry, 5, 6, 7,
8, 9, 10.
8, 9, 10.
Well, it's like 4 now, and then before the, like, right after the fire and before the fire.
Before the fire, probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you been serving as secretary?
Well,
On and
before
off?
Before the fire, on and off, a couple of years before the fire. Yeah.
I was secretary during COVID.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for your service, Ken. Can we give Ken a big round of applause?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
he doesn't get off of his hook
Until the power
after
changes.
Yeah, until after
Okay.
the election.
There'll
He's
be
gotta
another
pass
7
And it
minutes.
has to be
Thank you.
voted on.
He has to pass the baton.
April and May of next year.
Exactly. Okay, so we will address the question from Julia, because it does need to be addressed.
So who here, who of the people who were nominated is from the Middletown area proper? Charlie, do you live here or do you live?
No, I live on Hildebrandt.
So it's only Julia? Okay, Tara and Pat?
So I would
Oh.
say
Lisa, can you point your mic?
You have to be nominated.
Right, and Dan, you're in Hidden Valley?
No, he's in Jerusalem.
Oh, you are?
At large, yeah.
Oh, okay. So there is a real pink house.
Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Can,
Yes. And Tara and James, where do you live? We're in Hidden Valley. Hidden Valley. Okay. All right.
So how far
Okay.
south does the Middletown extend to?
Rancheria Road. Yeah.
So we can nominate Mo.
No, we were talking. So, if necessary, I could be. She said nominations were closed.
well, not yet.
Except that they're perhaps reopened with that.
Mm-hmm.
And west to answer Anderson Springs Road.
If Monica gets reelected,
I mean, Pat,
that's why.
I asked you if I could nominate you before.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, well, with so many people that are at large, could
I
could we
step
switch
down.
it? Yeah, could we switch it and you three? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But I actually believe in rotation, so I would actually be happy to leave my chair because I think that it's a good thing for people to sit here.
Okay,
And-
so that's something that you can think about.
Yeah.
So between now and before our January meeting. So, but yeah, because again, I totally agree as far as that with Lisa that it's really, really nice to see some new people stepping forward. So I think this is a worthwhile activity, and I would like to see some new folks
It's a good exercise.
participate.
Yeah. The Rotary does it, we can do it too. Right? You guys change presidents every year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hi, Terry Barra
We dissolved the
here. I just wanted to see if I can ask a question or just throw an idea more.
Okay.
So town hall is Middletown area town hall, which includes, like Cobb, Hidden Valley, south of town, all the way through, I don't know how far out toward like Potter Valley way, but out that way,
Fire
Jerusalem.
Protection District.
Right. And so have we assessed the way that the town is growing and the population growths in certain areas and the probability pools of getting nominations? Should we reevaluate the numbers that need to go on the board? It might be difficult as years progress and, for example, like Hidden Valley continues to grow, especially if we get more housing out that way. As certain projects are.
Well, it's 3 and 2 right now.
Well, and there was a time that we had a 7-member board, and we went down to a 5-member board basically because we had
People weren't
problems
showing
getting
up.
7.
Right.
And then we couldn't make quorum. So
I'm just thinking in regards to why is there a minimum need? Why would we put the stipulation there?
I agree.
Oh, for Middletown?
Just because I feel like that's such a small community compared to the area of representation that it doesn't necessarily pull the voices from the population evenly, which doesn't need to pull exactly evenly. It would be really hard for us to be like, we need one Cobb representative, one Anderson Springs representative, one Southtown. We can't do that.
correct.
But I'm just curious if that's something that should be definitely, like, obviously not maybe for this election, that's really soon.
Mm-hmm.
But for the future or future thought, is that something that you should look at, the population growth in the outskirt areas?
Well-
does that need to be reevaluated?
Yeah, and what's that?
And there's definitely some possibility that there's going to be future growth that will affect the population more in the north side of town.
I guess
Um,
originally when math was started, it was Middletown centric.
Right.
So, and that's why it wanted to make sure that there was some representation from Middletown. But to your point, though, too, it's like we have a number of businesses. So, for instance, I mean, I know that our current current supervisor made an exception to the policy that they set for the area plan, and allowed to have somebody who lived outside the area plan serve on the area plan committee. But yet that person had ties here locally and a business here locally.
Right.
So, perhaps that is something also that, this body, can seek to make an exception,
See if there's
along
people
those
that
lines,
have
because,
investments.
I know that you're in Middletown a lot. I know that Dan Terrell has a fabulous business in Middletown.
Yeah, and does that count, for
So-
example?
Exactly.
So, but I.
He lives in his work.
I know.
Never leaves. But I think that there's another question here, which is kind of like why I don't need to sit here and occupy this chair, because I'm going to raise my voice no matter what. You guys know that about me, right? So it's like that's the whole thing, and I'm going to show up no matter what, which is why I said, well, I'll be on the board if we're looking for people, because I come anyway. So I might as well. So that's why I think that it's really I will make space for somebody, because I think it's important for there to be representation. I think it's important for you guys to show up all the time. And I think it's important for there to be a crossover. It's important to have mama here. It's important to have people who are involved in the 2050 thing here, because we need that conduit of information if we're going to do our job, like Charlie said. So that's what I think.
Thank you. Okay, so I hate to say that Ken and I are going to work this out.
We can.
So, even though unless anybody objects to that, because they are our seats that are up, but we'll check out the bylaws and make sure that we're in compliance.
Okay.
Yes?
I'm still good for just till December.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so public input.
Christmas in Middletown. Over and over and over again, Christmas in Middletown. Come out some more and bring everybody with you. And there's stuff happening all over town. Do you want to add? And I'll just say that we're breaking piñatas at the M.A.C. at 4 p.m. with little kids up to age 11, and with big kids from 11 up at 7:30, and they'll be singing, and as always we'll have vendors and food and drinks at M.A.C., and I invite everybody warmly and joyously to come. Plus we get to be indoors all the time.
Tara?
Hi, Tara Ibarra. And so, Christmas in Middletown is happening, rain or shine, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. It was so successful last year that we extended it 1 hour this year. We have Santa. We are being visited by the Grinch. We are doing our tree lighting ceremony. The tree lighting ceremony is really going to be special, at least I'm hoping, to everyone. We specifically planted a tree. Thank you, Tanya, Star Gardens. Thank you. So there's a tree that we planted out there. Tanya, all the way through our horrible heat wave that we had, went out there just buckets of water dumping, keeping that tree alive. And so that tree is going to grow up. And every year, hopefully, that will be our Christmas in Middletown tree, because we just haven't had one since we lost that other tree, 20 years ago? Yeah, near the school. So finally we have a tree again, and we have indoor snowball fight over at Tyrell Martial Arts. We've got, There's La Posada going on. There's the 2 piñata breakings. There are just, fun and games, carolers going on. There's live music that's going to be happening. So we have a lot of activities. So come hang out, rain or shine, wear layers, and it's supposed to stop raining at 4 p.m. So, keep hoping.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Any questions, actually? I mean, no? Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff everywhere. There's Nutcracker at
Oh, yeah. There's Nutcracker over Center Stage is participating.
I think at 4 and at 5 they're doing
They are.
little mini performances, and Dan's probably got something going on too.
He's got his 5 p.m. snowball fight.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, things? Okay.
Okay, I have to backtrack. My fellow board member reminded me I did not officially close nominations, and we also had a potential nomination.
If that's needed.
So we don't know yet because Ken and I haven't done the deep dive. So I
then
guess I
I'm
have to
gonna
ask.
Nominate Pat anyway, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. Exactly. Okay.
Do
Any
you accept
other?
now? Do you accept now?
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. All right. So to answer Ken's question earlier, and I'm sorry, backtracking here, but so at this point we have Dan Terrell nominated, Tara and Pat Roy, Julia Bono, Charlie Morris, myself, and James. I'm sorry, what's your last name again? Barra? Barra. Okay. Okay. So, and with that, I will, unless I hear otherwise, I will officially close the nominations. And we'll move back on to 3-minute public input if anybody else has any public input. Otherwise, we're getting really close to adjourning.
I don't need to speak too much about it. I already have, and I pretty much told you that I thought what my vision was is water and fish and environment and redwood trees and things like that. Redwood trees actually create the moisture we need to keep the environment healthy, rather than having this poison that's running through the creek. I don't see us going with that one right now, but time is relative in these meetings, so I figure by May we could put something on the table and then dump it on our new supervisor and then say, hey, go find some money or something, So that's basically the agenda I would like to throw out there.
Okay.
And then hopefully, Helen will have so much work that she's going to have to do more. So,
Yeah.
take care.
All right. Any other public comment?
Just like to address a matter of order. I had in my notes that nominations were closed, and then somehow they were reopened, and then they were closed again. Yes, she did. I have it down in my notes, but,
Okay. Well,
I guess we could always review the video.
I asked my
to see.
fellow board member.
I actually think that Anderson Springs is not part of Middletown proper. So.
Cobb area has their own council, so everyone is.
No, but we're the whole we're all of the South County Fire Protection District technically, but Anderson Springs is part of Middletown. But I don't think it's considered part of Middletown proper, actually. So, but I don't know. Somebody has to interpret what the bylaws say. Yeah.
Who designs the boundaries?
That's a question for Fletcher.
It's true. It's true. What did you mean by that?
Eats and drinks and sleeps that stuff.
Yeah. Or Linda Darms also. Linda Deal Darms.
All right. Any other 3-minute public comment? Seeing none. Moving on to the last item on the agenda, the January agenda. So we will have elections. Anything else we want to talk about? We usually have a state of the county, but with our change in leadership, so I'm going to be respectful of Supervisor-elect Helen Owen, and figure she's going to be awfully busy in January, so we won't ask you to come back in January, but maybe at a future date.
Well, I plan on being here if at all possible.
Okay.
Unless there's a conflict.
Okay, perfect. So anything else for the January agenda? Off the top of your head? Okay, then I'm going to move to adjourn.
Second.
Perfect. I heard a first somewhere.
Second. I'll second it.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming, and happy holidays, everyone.
All right.